Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It is time here for PMGC to discuss the drop locations and especially the hot drops that are going to be happening on all three battlegrounds. My name is Maxman, joined by the man himself. It's Seven. He's down below because he's so damn short. It's very fitting to put him there. How you doing?
I'm doing great, bro. I'm excited to get this conversation started about hot drops. And as you can see, I'm currently wearing my Thailand shirt.
Ooh.
By the time this is posted, I'll probably be in Thailand already.
I wonder why this man is going to Thailand. Not yet revealed. You'd have to wait Friday to know why. Anyways, yes, talking about drop locations, Seven. So we do have these brand new updated drop locations. We've got all three: Rondo, Miramar, and Erangel. And these are after scrims. So teams have adapted. Yep. Teams have changed where they drop, how they rotate. So we can start now talking about what's going to be happening during the Gauntlet stage in particular, heading into PMGC. And one that I feel like we have to start the conversation with instantly here, Seven. It is going to be good old military base. GS team that now replace Gen G will be dropping here versus APG. What's APG gonna do?
APG's gonna land there, brother. There's no way that you're gonna be changing it, especially when we get to Miramar with how aggressive and they have made it well known everybody where they're gonna be dropping. I refuse to believe that APG is gonna change their spot just because GS is gonna be dropping there. If anything, I'm going to be looking at GS. I'm hoping you're looking very closely at that second option that they have.
Yeah, I mean, second option they have is going to be straight up north. Is going to be versus Orangutan in Severny, which I think is a bit more risky, actually, than military, because military is such a wide area. What I would recommend is maybe GS team go to the western side, like these little compounds here, and APG hold on to military base itself. That's fine. So I think this is a better drop location than dropping versus Orangutan in Severny, because Severny, the setup of the compound or the city is just so odd to have two teams. Like, compared to Yasnaya, hell yeah, you can definitely have two teams. But Severny, I think it's a bit risky unless you maybe go shooting range and, like, trash loot to the west. Then it's okay. But Severny itself, Seven, I would say, not a great idea for GS team.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get a chance. You're going to have more lines of sight, too. If you're OG, if they both end up hot dropping there, they're just going to have straight line of sight. And I agree with you. If you can, just go all the way down to military, because I agree. If you are going to end up going military, don't go towards their apartments. Don't go towards exactly the military base area. Make sure you go to the outskirts. Or if anything, if for some reason GS needs to do something that APG needs to look out for is maybe if GS for some reason has nothing to lose, they might set up a trap there on the north part of the island, which we have seen teams being able to loot there previously. They can loot very quickly and then head towards the main bridge and set up some kind of traps. So that's something that APG is going to have to keep an eye on. But I don't see that happening maybe on the first or second day. I see that happening more towards the third day.
Possibly. I would have to agree with that one. I think that they're going to they can easily coexist together, right? If a fight happens, it's purely an ego thing. And I think that's going to be APG in particular. They're just going to try and push them the hell out of military island. I think that could be a thing. But yeah, okay, so that's a big topic already we went over. Yep. One I'm a little bit scared of is going to be Kara and Wolves here. Of course, Wolves have two main drop locations. They're Ferry Pier and Farm Area. The thing is, I don't show it here because I made a very simplified graphic, Seven, but they actually drop very split, these two teams, all over Farm and Western Farm Area. It's something that if your car spawns aren't good, that can really screw you over. So I just want these two teams to be very careful when going for those drops.
Not only that one, because of the hot drop too. Look where Thunder Talk is going to be dropping as well. They're going to be dropping in Meltar, right? So they might be able to just have one player, if they get a good gun right off the bat, overextend a little bit, see if they can get line of sight on farm. And then even on Ferry Pier with Wolves, they might end up struggling a bit because E-Arena, depending on how quickly they end up rotating. We've seen it in the past too, Max, where if the circle goes all the way north or far away from Primors, that team that's in Primors, especially in the Gauntlet stage, they're going to want to rotate very quickly. So this is stuff that these teams are all going to have to keep a close eye on. And with that said, let's go over to Melta Power, Max. Because that one, boy, talk about teams having to worry about possibly end up like third-partying each other.
I can't zoom in that much, unfortunately. When it's on the side, it's a bit weird. But yeah, so information for Virtus Pro, their main drop location is going to be Melta Power. They will go Lipovka in the case of maybe a northern plane path when Alpha 7 are in George Pole and Lipovka's free. They would go there. The main one is going to be Melta Power. DRX, this is a secondary drop location. They already have Gatka for themselves. But if we have a very... this is what scares me, Seven, when looking at it. If you have a very southern eastern plane path where Virtus Pro can't get to George, where Orangutan can't get to their main drop location up north, and DRX can't get to Gadka. Orangutan can go to Shelter, but Mill to Power is going to be definitely congested because, as you already talked about Thunder Talk is there to try and cut off the exit point too. I would say this is a risky one. So risky, in fact, I would almost recommend for maybe VP to have a third option, which is dropping around here, west of Quarry. In case a bad situation happens where you have a very southern plane, maybe you can stretch and make it to Quarry. I think that would be a good option. What do you think?
I think with the way that VP, first of all, in regards to that option, yes, I would love to see them have an extra option. I just don't see it happening because of how aggressive this team has been. I think we will end up getting a hot drop between VP and Alpha 7 at some point. That's guaranteed, and it sucks because these are two strong teams and they're aggressive. I'm thinking if they do end up hot dropping, if there's a chance that they could actually split off, I'm hoping Alpha 7, with the maturity they have, with the experience that they have, they'll be the smarter team and back away from that fight and not fully commit. The thing, though, is with these two teams being aggressive, Max, we know that if there's a knock somewhere and if they can confirm that knock into elimination and now they're working with just 3 players and they still have their 4, they're not going to be leaving that anytime soon. They're just going to be setting themselves up. And for VP, I'm really worried in regards to that Mill to Power. I'm worried for them, and I'm also worried for DRX. I'm worried for OG too because VP's just been very, very aggressive from what we saw in CSA.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a few scary prospects to look at, but you know, that's definitely going to be one I'm going to be heavily paying attention to entering into the Gauntlet stage. Last few topics I have here: Yasnaya, Pollyanna, Northern George, such big cities. I don't think it's going to be an issue. 7 personally. I don't think it's going to result in any fights because those cities are so big. Though I do want to highlight one positive before we do move on to Miramar. And I want to highlight Orangutan. Congrats on changing your drop from Rozok. It was just not worth it. And Noam Regnum, they were going to take that fight. Genuinely, this is what gives me hope for Orangutan. These kind of changes, I genuinely like it. You agree with that one? Thumbs up?
Oh, for sure. I mean, this was the main topic too in the finals too. We're talking about, OG, you need to make sure you don't end up with hot drops there. And imagine if they would have ended up landing there in Rozok. You have Regnum, you have Mad Bulls, and then on top of that, you have Ulf. So,
and Xavier, the third party. Like, you see teams go from Pachinki and push in and third party. So,
depending on
really
the circle, true. One thing you were saying earlier in regards to Giorgio as well, between Alpha 7 and VP, even with that area, usually they're able to coexist, right?
Yes.
I think they might end up clashing, honestly. I feel like VP is coming in very aggressive into this PMGC. They're coming in very, very confident.
Yeah, so quick recommendation. If that is an issue and Alpha 7 want to push them out, just go for crates. It's valid, and R8 are taking hospital/residential George Bowl area. So that is an option. With that said,
who do you recommend to go crates? Sorry.
VP. VP could go there if they want to be a little bit more cautious. Yeah, but with that said, we spend a lot of time on Erangel. Next map. I'm trying to keep the pace going.
I told you, it could have been like 15 minutes per map with how much we like to talk about this stuff.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. But we're doing it, so we'll keep going. Anyways, looking at Miramar here. I know... You know what? Yes, screw it. We're going to talk about it. APG Orangutan. I know that's going to be the big one that everyone is talking about. And I do want to also preface this by saying... Myself and Seven got called out by a few people on the previous video, the tier list video, saying we're biased against Orangutan. And we're not biased against Orangutan. We're biased against HOTDROPS. That you could easily avoid. And I have seen, before we do go deep in this conversation, the Orangutan now have a secondary drop location of La Bandita, which... Hallelujah. That is an amazing change. Just to have even the option to go to La Bandita from OG is a great change of pace. Because we know it here, 7 APG... They don't want to be neighbors with Orangutan. Like, we know that as a fact.
Yeah. I mean, the thing too, for everybody that was saying that we were being biased, if we're being biased, I'll be saying, you know what? OG, if we didn't care about OG, land on Chumacera. Don't even worry about it. No, but I want this team to have the best possible chance to try to make it to the finals. Because I even said this on video too. This will be the best chance for this squad to actually make it to the grand finals in Gauntlet stage. When you move to group stage, when you move to last chance, boy, you do not want to end up being there trying to qualify to grand finals. This is the best chance. And I agree with you. I'm glad that they're going to be going to La Bandita. And we saw APG as well talk about them and saying, hey, it doesn't matter if you're trying to drop outskirts. We're going to hunt you down.
Yes.
And I mean, APG does have seniority. if we really think about Churmasera when it comes to global events. So that's why a lot of people are picking APG in this hot drop.
They are definitely way more experienced, which I feel like is why people favor APG compared to Orangutan. The thing is, I also don't want APG to do the hot drop. I don't want any team to do the hot drop, because guess what? Even if APG win versus Orangutan, or if Orangutan win versus APG, can you look me straight into the eyes and tell me with 100% certainty they're going to win that fight every single time and not lose a single player? Impossible. No. And I can tell you, I'm going to go even further. I don't even remember a team that won an event, a global event, that kept hot dropping consistently on one of the big maps. It doesn't help anyone.
For all the viewers currently watching, go back and watch Team Liquid in PMSL America's fall split. They were super focused and set their ways on defending what's theirs in Miramar. They kept hot dropping every single map. Just remind me in the comments, is Team Liquid currently in the PMGC? Yes or no? Yeah, you know, just saying, just putting my 2 cents out there. So yeah, hot dropping is bad. If there is any chance for there to be a hot drop, Max, don't get me wrong. There is opportunities for a team to go for a hot drop, or for a team to maybe set up a trap right off the bat. And this is something you and I always talk about, and we always end up talking about this on broadcast towards the later days, towards the day 3 when teams have absolutely nothing to lose. But that becomes pretty much a thing of watch out. Some teams might try to spoil it for you because there is animosity sometimes between these teams and these players.
Yeah, I always think hot drop should be used as a tool to or distance yourself from teams below you, or to try and stop other teams from being a threat to you.
Exactly.
That's always the best way I would talk about it personally. Otherwise, looking at other drop locations, we can talk about GS Team. GS Team now replacing Genji. Genji initially dropped versus Kara in Hacienda del Patron. They're not here anymore, so this is going to be free pickings for Kara. But they have a split drop between Impala and El Pozo. El Pozo, I don't have an issue with it. It's big enough where you can have 2 teams. Impala is a bit tricky, though. I think it's the layout of the city is a bit odd to the point where 2 teams, I would say, can't coexist super safely. Unless they like have a gentleman's agreement that like we're never going to fight even if we see each other, which that would be called teaming, and I'm pretty sure that's not allowed.
Yeah, let's not do that. One thing though, but for that one I agree with you, and something that I'm starting to notice here is I'm starting to get a little bit worried. We're worried about OG, right? Hot dropping with APG. Starting to get a little bit worried here for Alpha 7 too, because now this is the second map where they're gonna have drops, where they could also end up in a hot drop situation. And as we mentioned, even if you end up losing 1 player and you win the fight, congratulations, you get more than likely 2 to 4 eliminations, because that's usually what we end up seeing within the hot drop, right?
Yes.
But then you're just hindering yourself for the rest of the game, and if you continue to do that over and over again, you're just not gonna be within range of those top 7. You're gonna be forced to do something crazy on that final day.
But I'm even looking at Alpha 7 here. They could easily dodge DRX if it's an issue and go for Campo Militar. Like, so I'm not too scared. El Porto, again, they can coexist. But because GS Team is a new addition, have they had that time to scrim and be like, okay, you take these buildings, I take these buildings? That's my big question mark. Yeah. And if it is an issue, guess what? It's not the best, but you can always go to Ruins. I dropped there in Ultimate Royale. It's pretty decent because you're so safe. And the car spawns aren't that bad. So you have options if things go badly.
For Max, for GS and Wolves there on Impala, would you say maybe one of those teams, if they do end up hot dropping, right, the first match, more than likely, we're bound to see at least 1 hot drop in the first day of Gauntlet?
Yes.
Would you recommend for them to go to Truck Stop? Because Truck Stop is going to be open. You're going to leave yourself quite open, but I mean, there is going to be a healthy amount of loot. There's a healthy amount of buildings.
So actually, I was going to put a GS Team logo here, but apparently their most recent drop locations were Pods and Impala, but they are experienced. GS Team is, I'm really happy you mentioned that, on Truck Stop. They have played in the past. I think that would be a great one. If they tested out, oh, this is just not working as we wanted with Wolves, go Truck Stop. I think that would be the best option for GS Team. As again, the most inexperienced team in this lobby, because they didn't even qualify for this stage realistically, but still they made it. Now looking at the last 2 big city ones that are going to be an issue, I think. Los Leones, 3 teams. It's so big, I think they can coexist unless they do some weird shenanigans. Like we saw back in PMSL Mina during the league stage. That was so weird. I hated it. But knowing D Xavier, DRX, Geek, are we thinking they're going to fight 7? I don't think so.
No. I think the only way they fight is maybe they get 1 player and that's about it. And then they don't pursue it. They're just not, there's no way that they're going to pursue it unless we're in the final day, okay? Keep that in mind. On the final day, people are crazier. People are wilder. People are willing to commit to crazier stuff.
I would agree. Yeah, just be careful towards the later stage. You don't want to make yourself vulnerable. And then the last two, Cobreria, big enough for 2 teams. Not even going to talk about it. Pretty easy for Mad Bulls and Xavier. Last one is San Martin, that is a big city. I do think the layout, just like Impala, is a bit off, where it can sometimes make fights break out because of the roads in particular. You cross from one building to the other, you're spotted, instantly shot down. I think that E-Arena and R8 got to be a bit careful, especially because you have these big third-party potentials here, Seven, with Kara and Ulf. You got the 2 wolves surrounding them. That one you might want to be a bit careful, and maybe even I'd recommend E-Arena for going for water treatment, or R8 to go for water treatment, which is valid. You got a few decent trash locations to loot up. Because I would say there's high risk, high reward here in San Martin.
I would recommend RA to just go to water treatment. Not even E-Arena. RA has a lot more to lose there because they're just going to end up getting pinched by both teams. Okay. If this is the exact same spot, right? If they're going to be landing in between those 2 teams, that's not where you want to be. And if I'm talking about R8 even more, if we just go down towards Spartona, they also have another opportunity that they might end up hot dropping with VP. And as I was saying earlier, VP is coming in confident, man. If I'm R8, I'm thinking about maybe going all the way to Minas del Sur and or if not, just find something completely different to go to.
I would have to say VP, Virtus Pro are the hope of the CIS region this event by a significant margin too. So I would agree. I would say R8, be careful. Because they're Valle del Mar, I would say VP are just going to drop Valle del Mar, maybe Minas del Sur, and leave this for R8. I don't think it's worth it personally. But that is going to be pretty much it for our Miramar drop locations. And now the final battleground, the newest battleground, is going to be Rondo, which before we get into any drop locations, I want to talk about this bottom right team here that's in the water. It's DRX. Why the hell are they over there? It's kind of weird. I was told, and also I have seen this online and also throughout the scrims, DRX is the only team to not have a set drop location. They are basically doing what we call free man, which is we just drop wherever based on the playing path and we adapt, because I think the game plan is hot dropping teams and doing that 3-1 recall split. I think that's the strap. So that's what they're doing, and I don't know what your thoughts on that one, Seven, but this is weird to see, but I kind of dig it.
I mean, if it kind of comes down to how much experience they have within that map as well, right? Because you are going to have maybe some areas open. You're going to have Yulin and APG. We saw somebody hot drop APG in CSA, and that was something great to see. For APG, the main question mark for APG, even though they currently don't have a hot drop there right now, Max, what was the main thing that happened during CSA finals? They were not willing to do that 3-1 split. Whenever we were actually recommending for this squad to have one player not even close, they were saying, nah, hell nah. We're committing all our 4 players here. So for anybody, the main factor with Rondo, if you're going to be committing to a hot drop, which you don't really consider a hot drop, I would say just commit with 3 players and make sure you leave one behind, because you do have that recall factor. Yeah,
we've been talking smack about hot drops. Hot drops are the meta on Rondo, okay? Just so everyone, you want to hot drop on Rondo because you will get that early advantage in terms of elimination points you can bring on board. We've seen it, as you said, like CSA as an example. Teams usually sending 3 players. Let's say here, let's take this, even though this is a bad example, but Wolves fighting Regnum Caria. You send 3 players here from both teams, so you have 6 players in this compound. And you send 2 players to like recall stations located around.
But even that area, Max, is so big too that those 2 teams should be able to coexist. You have Test Track there, you have Neox Factory as well. They should be able to coexist. And one more thing, you know how we were saying, OG, don't drop on APG? Hey, OG, baby. First game of the Gauntlet PMGC. If you ever wanted to hot drop on APG, Rondo would be the map. Because you more than likely know, if you did your research, that APG is going to be landing all their 4 players there. You can land with 3. You can have whoever it is that you want just staying back for that recall option. And you can test out how that firepower, how that hot drop would actually go with APG.
Yeah, and actually APG, if that happens, they would be in a hot drop situation in all 6 matches every day. They have GS team, they have Orangutan, and maybe double Orangutan if they want to go for it. But exactly, if Orangutan want to do a smart hot drop, I think this will be a really smart one. And I would literally applaud on broadcast if I'm doing PMGC. We don't know yet. Wait for Friday.
Okay.
Just to see. So I think that would make sense. By the way, Genji, I forgot to remove their logo, but they dropped here in the past before getting removed. So Ulf could drop there. There's another option, right? Maybe even GS team that currently are dropping in this area versus GK. Well, I can't zoom in properly. I think that here, southern western side, good option for the two teams if they really want to, because they're mirroring their rotates. Geek and GS dropping here, and then you have over here also in the main city of Rondo, Geek versus GS team.
Yeah,
so
Jadina.
I think that we could see a little change for one of these two teams at least.
And even with those two drops, I mean, Jadina is going to be so big too that they can coexist there too. If you go there towards the north, you have Bailey and Min something up there towards the north. The thing with Rondo too is that there's just so many areas that you can actually go and like trash loot, right? You don't really have to take a man POI and then just be a little bit safer. The one thing with Rondo though that I'm excited for, Max, and I know we're talking about hot drops in this video, are going to be teams rotating. How quickly are they going to be able to rotate? Because with Rondo, you have some insane line of sights at times.
You do have some insane... I mean, emergency cover flares can make it a little bit easier for yourself. But yeah, speed of rotations is going to be very important. Getting in the circle ahead of time is going to be very important, because if you play Edge, I would say Edge is not the best way to play Rondo. It is really good on other maps. Edge play, I'm a little bit more... I'm not the biggest fan of edge play on Rondo, because if your center POIs are being taken away because it's such a flat map, you can be spotted away from like miles and miles away. That's what scares me in particular. So if you want to be good on Rondo, you got to be freaking fast on the rotates. So now
deployable cover might be able to help you with that. You were saying earlier, but even then, like, it could end up hindering you. We saw that video that you made with VP.
Yeah, that one was you don't want to use too many in a bad spot. Actually, I want to talk real quick about one thing you mentioned about Jadina City. I personally don't think you can have two teams coexist in Jadina, which I know is one of the biggest cities. But the reason why I say that, it's I can't zoom in too much, unfortunately. But I'm sure if you have your own POV, you can zoom in on your side, Seven. But the streets are all perpendicular to each other or parallel, meaning that if you cover one angle and you wait, you can easily get a line of sight on an enemy, because you're very visible when going from skyscraper to skyscraper. And because of that, I think it's a bit risky. You could send one team south here if you want and take some trash loot. This you can coexist. In this area, two teams, wouldn't recommend it. I think it's a bit iffy.
I can see that, and also you cannot trap too with the map boundaries on the east side. If you're gonna be GS too, you're gonna be forced to fight, or you just go north. I could kind of see that. They're just gonna have to be careful. Maybe try to trash loot, like you were saying. That's gonna be the main thing. And if you do, please, for all the teams watching, if you're gonna be going into Rondo with a guaranteed hot drop, only send 3 players. Keep one behind.
Be careful.
There's no need to fully commit. This is one of those maps that I feel like are gonna be the champion are gonna end up excelling at Max, because of the chance and the opportunity of how many eliminations you can actually get on this map. You don't want to be that first team that's out and you only end up with just 2 elims.
Yeah, like the reason why this map is so interesting is that it has a different meta, and you can't just overlook it, because like Sanhok, people would just be like, Sanhok is once a day. No, this is Rondo. Sure, it's just once a day. You could get 20 plus elimination games if you perform well on this one. Like, you can get such a big lead, so everyone is adapting, which makes me very excited to see how Rondo's going to evolve in the long term. The final main drop location I want to talk about is going to be E-Arena. I'm a little bit skeptical because they do have 2 drops versus VP and D Xavier, and they're all located in the same area. If you have a very northern single plane path, they're kind of screwed. Maybe you could drop, around here. There's a shop next to Thunder Talk. You got some decent drops even high over here. You can push away Alpha 7. Even eastern side, you got some drops north of Jadina City. E-Arena, currently, I would say pure drop location-wise, outside of DRX, that's playing a bit weird, have the worst drops, and I would like to see more options taken up from this team.
I think so too. I think there's even areas there towards the east when they have the DX versus E-Arena drop. I think that's Hongshan. In that area, they could end up just maybe trash looting a little bit more to the right, or just do a 2-2 split. Honestly, if you're gonna try to go for that, you could. And what I'm gonna be looking at too is for teams to maybe that don't have a hot drop to try to third party, like R8. They're gonna be very close to DX. They're gonna be very close to E-Arena. And this would be a map that you definitely want to improve on that. And we got a chance to see the finals for Mina. These teams were not that aggressive. They weren't hitting the marks that some of the other regions were hitting. So I'm thinking that they might end up changing their style here, and they have to change their style going into PMGC. Now for VP and E-Arena, once again, I'll just give out the warning for VP for the 3rd time. they're just going to be coming in very aggressive, especially first match. We saw what they were able to do as well in PMSL CSA Grand Finals. That team was able to excel when it came down to Rondo.
Yeah, they were so good on that map, so I think they can perform once again really well for themselves. They do have another drop in Stadium versus Ulf, but I think Ulf is not going to be willing to poke the bear too much. They're going to be very careful about it. And I think you already talked about it real quick. Final one, actually, Regnum Kara versus Wolves. Such a big area, right? Neox Factory, Test Track. One team takes Test Track, one team takes Neox. Neox is better because you have a recall station. So actually what could happen is whoever takes the Neox Factory, you could send 3 players to hunt down the players in Test Track and go for the recall after. That is a strat that is... If I would see it happen, I'd be like, that makes sense. I don't hate that. So I would like to see it happen because it would be such a good play in my opinion.
I think it would be. And then before we even end the video, I have a question for you, Max, and I have a question for the audience. We were saying earlier, and I kind of posted earlier too, but do we want OG to hot drop APG in Rondo?
I was going on the Miramar. You were talking about this one. Ooh, okay.
That one right there. That's a hot drop that I would be absolutely fine with, but just keep in mind, OG, only do 3 players, don't fully commit 4, because you know that APG, they will be fully committing 4.
If they do drop fully into Yulin as a full squad and Orangutan see that weakness, maybe not day 1, maybe day 2, day 3, you could do it, right? If you see that's what happened.
I want it first game.
I mean, they are scrimming technically, so I guess if you know they're doing that as a fact, then why the hell not? But I would agree, 3 players, send it, 1 player, wait on the side. But anyways, that's going to be it. Any final point you would like to make before we wrap it up on any of these drops, any of these maps, or you're just excited to be here?
I'm excited, brother. I'm really excited to see what these teams are going to be doing. Usually we talk about all this stuff, and then come first day, depending on what the scenario is happening within those teams, things change, and things change very quickly. I'm looking to see how these teams are going to be able to readjust. And let us know, for everybody currently watching, let us know in the comments below, which hot drops are you okay with? Which hot drops do you not want to see? Do you like hot drops? Do you not like hot drops? I like hot drops in Rondo. But if we're talking about other maps and all that other stuff, especially the first 2 days of Gauntlet, I don't like hot drops.
Yeah, hot drops need to serve a purpose. Don't hot drop for the sake of it. Otherwise, you're going to talk smack of Yom about Yom broadcast. Anyways, with that said, that is going to be it. Thank you again, Seven, for joining me here for this video. It was an absolute pleasure talking about the hot dropper Roonies. It was a good time. Hopefully, we'll see you all guys checking out the Gauntlet stage of PMGC 2025, which we will see you there. Have a great rest of your week and see you guys very soon for some PMGC action. Let's go!